Hello everyone, welcome back, and we are going to have a great show tonight with a very spirited, amazing person who has blown me away actually with her ability to grow her Instagram so quickly, but also she's got a great following because she cooks great food and is able to share it with others to get them. So Mandy, if you're there, I have invited you to join and sent you a request. Hello, I can see you. Anyhow, it's great you're all here. So if you request to join me, Mandy, the double, right, perfect. This will be great. I don't know how many of you know Mandy. I think if you're Instagrammers, you definitely know Mandy. And it's very interesting. Hello!
Very nice to see you.
Very, very nice to meet you, virtually.
Yes,
Yeah.
Really lovely. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So welcome to the Cookbook Festival and our kitchen conversations, which we've been running every evening, and they've been very successful. Can I just introduce you? So Mandy Miller-Simmons has her Instagram site, which is Simply Food by Mandy. She has a whopping 37,000 followers, and I think it goes up daily. You're so interactive with your people, and you're a completely self-taught cook.
I am a self-taught cook. Having said that, both parents have always been brilliant cooks, so I have learnt through them, but no formal training at all.
Nothing, because you were a dancer before.
Yes, I was a professional dancer. I worked on cruise ships for about 8 years, which was brilliant, mainly out of Miami, around the Caribbean. I went up to Alaska once, we went over to Hawaii, that was fun. So that was really good fun, but that had to come to an end at some point, and obviously, you know, with family, dancing is a really hard career to keep up because it's all evening work, and I certainly couldn't work on cruise ships. So, yeah, and then I had children, and I didn't work. I was a full-time mummy for quite a long time, and I just couldn't even think about doing anything. And I always wanted to do something, I just didn't know what it was going to be. But this blog started as a bit of fun and a hobby, and then it's just kind of snowballed into something.
Tell me, how long ago did you start it, Mandy?
The actual Instagram account, nearly 3 years ago.
Okay, and your blog, when did you start that?
Oh, no, I started the Instagram account first and then eventually had my blog.
So you've got 37,000 followers in 3 years.
Yes.
And you've only got shy of 9,000 posts, 900 posts.
Yes. I don't know, I can't really compare it because you never really know how long people have been going on. But yes, it's been very steady the whole time, and I've had such lovely feedback from my followers, and they're very interactive with me as well. I mean, I do try and get back to everybody. I have loads of private messages, particularly at the moment. And I just hope that I can keep that as it grows, keep giving them not the service, but the feedback.
The love, the help. Yeah,
yes.
Because you specialise in no fuss, easy, achievable, doable meals. Like you have lots of one pots, lots of tray breaks. They look stunning, I have to say, and really nice. You must spend quite a lot of time styling and on the photography. It's not as if you're just like making a lasagna and you photograph it. It looks lovely.
Yeah, no, I do. A lot of thought goes into it, but I mean, we do eat everything that I produce. Sometimes when the boys are at school, that will be reheated later on, but at the moment I've got loads of mouths to feed, so nothing goes to waste. But so it's not over-styled, but I have in my mind what I'm going to do, how the picture's going to look.
And when you do it, do you write up in advance, okay, this week, these are my menus, this is what I'm going to cook, or does it just evolve with when you go shopping?
It really happens, and sometimes I think, oh, I haven't done anything Middle Eastern for a while, I need to do something like that, and then that would totally change. So I'll buy perhaps the ingredients with a dish in mind, and most of the time it changes, and that's actually what I prefer to do. I'm not one to really follow a recipe, which is why my food it's great because there is room for error and you can put your own personality into it if you want, which a lot of people do. But yeah, they just evolve really.
Well, no, that's really nice to hear, because if you are just sort of cooking on the hoof, it
Yeah,
means that other people can, with a bit of inspiration from you.
definitely, and I think that's what people believe because I hope that that comes across. And because I haven't had any formal training, they think, well, if she can do it, I can do it too. And she's a mum with you know with school runs and all the same things and busy lives. And well, not at the moment, although actually I have been busier than ever because there's just so much going on in the house. But you know, I think they think, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And I think maybe that's the appeal
Yeah, yeah,
and why recipes work. And I do deliberately try and think, right, if we're going to do a tray bake, I know that perhaps it would be tastier if I sauteed the onions on top and then added it in. But I think, like, how can I do this with getting the maximum flavour with as little fuss as possible into the tray bake? So I think, right, okay, if we're turning the oven on, we'll roast the onions beforehand before adding the meat, or we'll brown the meat or the chicken or whatever is in a really hot oven rather than pan frying it and then putting it all in. I really try and simplify the whole cooking process deliberately, keeping the recipe. Because I know when I look in books, you know, if you see a whole list of a long list of ingredients and the method that's just really, really long, you just think, oh, we bothered with that. So I deliberately try and keep it visually simple.
yeah, yeah. No, and that shows, because also what I love is that you have no interest in the latest Vogue diets, fads, and all the rest of it. So you do a veggie, you do a midweek easy, you do a budget, which is
Yeah,
great. You do a family pleaser for those special occasions. Minimum washing up, that's very clever, I think.
yeah.
And then something spicy for a Friday night or whenever people want. So you're trying to sort of encompass everyone's dietary requirements,
I
but
try.
keeping it doable.
Yes, definitely. I think that the thing is, more and more of us now are conscious about looking after our planet, and whereas we wouldn't have even thought of a vegan or possibly a veggie meal, we now all try to at least have one day that's meat free. And there are so many amazing recipes out there
Oh
now.
yeah.
There's no excuse, is there? But so yeah, I do try and think about that. And then I get a lot of messages with gluten free. So I don't necessarily put that on, but I bear that in mind. So you know, it's very easy actually to eat gluten free with you know lovely rice based dishes, potato based dishes. So yeah, I do try. You can't please everyone, but I do try and think of the whole
Yeah.
picture.
And do you also, when you're planning them, do you do most of your shopping from the supermarket, or do you do it a mixture of the supermarket and specialty suppliers?
A bit of both, a real mixture. Before lockdown, I was in my local supermarket pretty much every day, and I've had to be a little bit more organised than I normally would. But I do a bit of both.
Yeah. And you live in Kent in the countryside, don't you?
I do. I'm feeling very grateful for that right now. You know, having the space around us, and you know,
Yeah.
when the lockdown was strict, and I thought of all those people living in London without a balcony, I just thought, oh, that must be really, really tough. So, feeling very thankful for living in the countryside right now.
But are there lots of farms? Because I know Kent is the Garden of
Yes.
England, and are there lots of farms where they're selling their asparagus, their fresh produce?
Amazing asparagus stalls all littered around. There are quite a few lovely, lovely farm shops that they're not necessarily on farms, but they've popped up and they've got everything. So you could actually do a weekly shopping there. So yeah, I did a few. I've done a few. So I mean, we couldn't get deliveries for a while. So what I did is, one week I would do a big supermarket shop, and then I would go to some of the farm shops because it was just much more pleasant going in there.
Mm.
You know, it's quite depressing in the queue with the masks and the gloves. So going to a lovely farm shop, quite a nice
And it's
experience.
also supporting the producer.
Yes, absolutely. There's been a lot of that around here actually, and everyone really rallied round. I mean, it has been like it in London everywhere, hasn't it? But a lot of the local fishmongers, butchers, they suddenly offered delivery services, and then they all clubbed together with the greengrocer. In Tunbridge, there's a butcher and a lovely fishmongers right next door to each other. And then over the road, there's this real old-fashioned greengrocer. Well, then they put boxes together, and even with pasta and flour and
Mm.
different people. And then half of the restaurants as well in Tunbridge Wells, I know a few of them quite well, and obviously they've had to rethink on their feet, and they've been meal kits and, you know, brilliant things. It's great the way people have rallied round, supported each other and supported local businesses.
Amazing. That is really good.
Yeah.
And just tell me, when have you had more people visit your site recently, and have you had more people comment on dishes, because everyone's thinking about cooking and they're cooking more at home?
Goodness, yes. I mean, there are some people in absolute panic of the idea of having to cook, you know, 3 meals a day, and I mean, it's just a full-on job. And if it doesn't come naturally to you, you do need a little bit of help. So yeah, I've had loads. I've had so many more direct messages.
Have you?
Oh goodness, yeah, and it's quite. You know, I'm told off all the time for being on my phone by my children and my husband, but I'm sort of replying to this poor lady. You know, she doesn't know what to do. Can I help her? And somebody else, I offered to help write a meal plan because she was in a right old tiz. And then, yeah, and then I had one lady. Actually, she has an Instagram account, and she was suffering with the coronavirus, and she knew that my husband and I had had it. So every day she was checking. I was checking with her. She was checking in with me. Because it's so horrible and you haven't really got anyone to ask. And just, I said, yes, that's exactly what we had. It's totally normal. Sorry, it is awful. It will go. So, yeah, I feel a little bit like a culinary agony aunt.
Well, so they've been using you as their sort of virtual cookery book.
Absolutely, yes, they do. I mean, some people at the moment are looking on my page, and probably others as well, and they're writing their weekly list from the recipes, which actually makes sense, doesn't it, to do it that way? I wish I was that organised. But
Well, you've got some delicious recipes. Like the other night, you bought a restaurant to your home, so you sort of did your version of Nobu black cod,
yes,
and it looked as if it was doable for people at home,
so
and
good.
such fun.
It's so easy, and that's the thing. People think, oh, that one looks pretty. Oh, no, no, no. But actually, it's so simple. 15-minute meal, and it is utterly delicious. But it's also a brilliant one for children because you put a sticky, sweet soy sauce on a bit of fish, and they suddenly think, oh, that's lovely. That's not like the fish we have at school. I like that. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
and you know, your teriyaki salmon and noodles. You do lots of lovely pasta. I watched you the other day making a ragu and mixing in pasta, and then you put the sauce on top. So instead of making a lasagna, you sort of made a one-pot lasagna.
yes, I did. Yeah, I did. I made a ragu out of beef rib for a change, and actually that was Charlie, my 11-year-old's suggestion, because after Easter, we had a massive leg of lamb, and normally we would have the family around, but there was just the 4 of us, and the boys did sterling work, but there was still some leftovers, so I thought I'd make a lamb ragu, and the boys loved it. They raved about it. So Charlie said, well, why don't you do this, when instead of making a bolognese next time, make it with some big chunks of meat. And I thought, oh, yes, that's a really good idea. So I did it. And when the kids think it's their idea, they're more inclined to eat it, aren't they? So yes, I just made a kind of pasta bake, poured the bechamel on top, and all one pot. It's just something that's, you can get your washing up done during the day from the pasta pans, and then there it is, ready for dinner. And it can sit in the
Yeah.
ready for...
And much easier than layering up all the lasagna pasta and da 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 da.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Which
no,
I
no.
don't mind doing sometimes, but it's nice to have a few alternatives, isn't it?
And you do more savoury food than you do sweet food.
I do. What I post is what we eat, really.
Yeah.
It probably is, and I think that's why, hopefully, why it works. Because yeah, I've made more cakes actually in lockdown, but no, it's not an every week thing for us. We don't really. I mean, the boys love puddings and things, but I'm not a big pudding person, and I'm not actually a very good baker. I'm not precise enough.
I'm sure you don't have any disasters, but you also post a few cocktails now and then, which look great fun.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, they're more of a summer thing, but actually people get quite excited about it. And then there's a different crowd that love the cocktails because it feels a bit naughty. And at the moment we need a bit of cheering up and we need to feel like a bit of a night out. So yeah, they're quite good fun. I did a cocktail live, I think, which was pretty rubbish, but loads I turned it off, and then I got these bing, 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 everyone had made it, which is just so lovely. And
Oh,
a bit of fun. They're very simple. I'm sure some barmen in London would think, oh, they're
but
rubbish.
you're very brave because you are actually sharing your whole life in your kitchen, aren't you? And your
I
dining room
suppose so,
table.
yes. And I suppose in the beginning I worried a little bit more about how, you know, who was looking and how I was writing it. And but now I don't really worry about that so much now, because actually, although lots of people say social media is so negative and there are so many downsides, I've just met a lot of very positive people through it. You do get the odd occasional person, but it's been a very positive place for me. And it's
Well, it's obviously working. There's no doubt about
oh,
that.
thank
Because
you.
you've now gone to the sort of next stage where you are doing product endorsement and you're helping people write recipes. They're coming to you. You did something with Waitrose.
I did something with Waitrose. That was just an event I went to. It was a really lovely event at the head office branch. I think that's near King's Cross, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful evening. And I met some really interesting people. You know, behind the scenes on the Waitrose magazine and the Weekend magazine, the editors, which for me was very, very exciting. And because a lot of the events I've been to before, well, they haven't been with supermarkets, but they've just been with certain brands, and they've been wonderful. But this one it was a really nice, it was a lovely event. So.
Oh, and do you ask people to give you things if you like them and say, listen, I'll put them on my page, or do they just send them to you?
I don't do that. In the beginning, I approached some of the brands that I thought, okay, I use Merchant Gourmet, Tim's Dairy Yogurt, I thought Bella Zoo, I've always been a huge fan of their products. I thought I would, you know, the good thing about Instagram is you've got the direct line into whoever's running their social media channels. And, you know, yes, we did get I got a few freebies in the beginning, but what I found is actually it's best to wait for them to come to you when they
Yeah.
have got a campaign. I just don't need to now. And also, I do feel a bit cheeky asking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and also if they give it to you, then hopefully you can do whatever you want with it instead of
Yes.
promising them something, because you're obviously a very impulsive cook.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I am. And so that the thing is, nothing comes for free. So now a lot of people say, can I send you this? And I have to really think about it now, because obviously I've got to do something with it, because you feel bad if you don't. So most of the time, if somebody gives me a gift, I will do something on my stories with it, providing I like it, because I want to stay true to myself. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how that works. But it is exciting working with the brands behind the scenes, and doing a few recipes for them. And it's really, for the first year, I didn't. It was just a hobby. And then after, I think when you hit about 10,000 followers, then that's when the brands start coming to you and for some paid campaigns. And it makes it a bit more exciting. And what's brilliant is I was just doing it for fun, but it's now evolved into a job. Doing something I really, really love. And you know, after dancing, that was quite a hard act to follow. I never thought, and I've always been a creative person. And I did worry, thinking, well, what am I going to do when the boys are older and they've forgotten me? And I will need something. So now I've got something, which is brilliant.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Someone's just asked, we've answered it, but I'll go over it again. Nick's Kitchen, how long have you had your Instagram account? So you set that up in 2016, is that right?
2017.
2017. So
Yeah.
Nick, this is an amazing Instagram account. And then what are your top tips to grow your followers?
Interact, be real, listen to what they want. So for me, in the beginning, I thought, oh, you know, I need to do this. I need to make homemade pasta, and people think, oh, I can't be bothered. So it's not about showing off what you can do. It's offering what your audience wants. So people love a chicken tray bake. I've never made so many chicken tray bakes. I'm some kind of chicken tray bake once a week, because I know that it's going to be reproduced. People will save it. I can see the insights on my Instagram account, and they love it. So give them what they want. I think you've just got to listen to it, stay true to yourself, find your niche, find who you are, and go with it. Don't try and be anyone else. I think.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. And do you think the chicken tray bake is such a popular one because chicken's affordable and it cooks in sort of 25 minutes?
Absolutely. I think it's all about budget. A sausage tray bake will work equally as well, or yeah, some kind of budget pasta because it matters, doesn't it? We can all cook a lovely fillet steak, an expensive steak, and it will taste lovely, and you don't really need to do a lot to it. But you have to be a bit more not adventurous but a bit more creative with the cheaper cuts. And that's where people need ideas because we all have to watch what we spend on our weekly shop. Although
Yeah,
I'm not sure
definitely. And especially when you've got two growing boys, because I'm
yes,
sure they eat a lot.
they do.
Yeah. And so when you're writing, so do you actually write your recipes or do you take inspiration or do you sort of say, right, I'm going to do Indian, I'm going to do Mexican? How do you begin?
I do try and I find that I go in phases where I think for a whole week I will have a Thai theme going on in my house, and I don't really realise that that's going on. And then I think, okay, well, I need to spread them out. So sometimes I don't post them in order that I cook, but I do look at my feed and think, okay, we've got too many Middle Eastern things going here, too many Asian dishes. I'll try and try something new because obviously I love a lot of Asian food, but somebody else might not. So I do try and shake it up a bit. But I don't know that I am. It's a bit random the way I cook. I'm
Yeah.
not organised. Although I
But you,
do. What I
with
normally
each of your photos, you put up the recipe as well, don't you?
I do because I just think, why would I put? I know I should probably hold something back for a book or something like that, but people want it, so I just think maybe that's why it's worked because a lot of people don't, and they find it really annoying if they've got to click through to a website, and they often don't. So if it's there, they can just save it or screenshot it or whatever, however they want to. And I want it to be useful for people, and I think that's half of what I love the most about it is it's really rewarding knowing that people are trying your recipes and they work. So the Thai chicken tray bake, I've posted it so many times, but I keep it, and every time I post it, then there'll be another few people that's it, they do it every week. They love it, it works really well. It's probably my most popular recipe today, and it's so easy, but it's just gorgeous flavours in it. But
Oh,
for me, it's all about people trying it, and I find that quite exciting.
and tell me, do people send you back pictures of their
Yes,
dishes?
loads. Even
Uh,
even my husband's partner at work, he tried the pulled spiced Asian shoulder of lamb the other day, and
of
he sent
lamb.
sent my husband a picture of that, and
Oh,
then he
with
also
frozen.
cakes for the kids. Oh, are we okay now?
Yeah. Yes, no, that's fine. Someone might have been on the internet.
Okay, I'll kill them later. Yes.
Someone says, I'm always going back to your page for your recipes, Mandy. Love them. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's so lovely. Who's that?
Yeah, no. And it is amazing how you are very interactive because, you know, you and I have been interacting. You're far more interactive than me. I need to learn from you, obviously. Because you're very on it and you're very little emojis and just happiness and it's very warm.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm glad that that comes across. I genuinely feel I want it to be a positive place, and I just think I am pleased when people say something nice about it or they've tried it. I feel genuinely happy about it. So I'm glad that it's feeling like a positive place. I feel bad if
Definitely.
I don't get back to people.
Yeah, no, so you feel obliged. You've started a conversation and you want to finish
Yeah.
it instead of just ignoring them.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and that actually, when you think of it in that way, it makes sense, doesn't it?
I know. I
Because,
think some people kind of. I think they maybe think, oh gosh, I feel slightly embarrassed to reply, but I see it as a conversation and it's polite to reply. So I think that's why I do it. And I've just got in the
yeah,
habit of doing it. So I think they're more inclined, if they do get a response or a message answered, then they are more inclined to interact. And I think that helps you with your following too.
I think it also helps. You're very attractive and you have a beautiful kitchen.
The white works really well with photography, and it just all colourful food just looks pretty against white, doesn't it? So
Yeah, it looks very aspirational, and so people sort of feel they're taking a little trip into your world, and it's going to be as beautiful as yours. No, I mean that nicely, and you know, it is interesting for people. And someone's just saying here, I'm constantly sharing your recipes with friends. Well, they just need to go on your Instagram, then they can get them.
it's very lovely to
Yeah,
hear. I'm very happy.
which is really good. So, have you been approached? What's the future for you?
Well, this is where I'm at a point right now. I would love to write a cookbook, and I was listening to you with Jo, and she was saying how hard it is, and of course I've fumbled my way this far, and it's kind of working, and I'm making a little bit of money out of it, which is brilliant. But I do feel I'm at that next stage where I don't really know necessarily how to go about it because it's just not my world. But I would like to write a cookbook. I would like to write for maybe some magazines or maybe the home cook in a magazine or in newspapers. I don't know. I wonder whether I need an agent at some point. It's just I suppose it's a bit scary to go and ask or pitch or.
Yeah. So you've never pitched or approached someone, and no one's ever come to you as of yet.
Not yet. No. I just no. I haven't yet. I've got something being written at the moment. I'm kind of sitting on it, hoping that I can approach some kind of publisher. But I thought that before I did that, I didn't want to do it prematurely. I knew that I needed an audience because otherwise, who am I? Nobody knows me. I'm not on television. But I thought my audience needed to be a certain size before I took it to the next level. So I've just been quietly going along and writing a few things in the background. I mean, I've got so many recipes, but obviously everyone's got those recipes now, so I'd have to come up with new things.
Well, tell me, so of your 939 postings, so that means there's 939 recipes, roughly.
I mean, some of them are duplicated, but sometimes I repost things. I would think there's probably about 500 recipes.
Wow, that's a lot, because if you think a recipe book needs 125.
Okay.
So you're on the way, and you might want to curate some of them or adapt some of them because they're the next generation. Let's say you've got your Insta generation, but now you're going to do a book.
Yes, and it's easy to do, isn't it? It's so easy to tweak things. I do it every time. If I do replicate it, it's actually I never normally make the same thing exactly the same twice anyway. There's always a little tweak here and there.
You must know those boys, Mob Kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You see, so Mob Kitchen really appeals to young people and students.
Yes.
And they've just gone mad and everyone loves them. So I would say that your market, well, you know who your market is, don't you?
Yes.
And so your mummy kitchen, or I don't know, that's the wrong name, but that's what it is.
I know exactly who I am. I mean, I just know who they are. They are people that are exactly the same as me. Living the same lives. And there are a few single people out there that try them out, but predominantly it's family food.
Okay, the Hungry Arab, she's written a few times, but I'm just going to say this, and I fully agree with her. I cannot believe you've not been approached, and I can't believe that, to write a book. I really can't. And I would 100% buy it for myself and anyone else who loves to cook.
And she's lovely. I know who that is because she comments a lot on my posts. And she's a very good cook herself, actually. She comes up with some lovely things. I can't remember what she did with mine the other day, but she made it her own, and I love that.
Oh, that's nice. And tell me, when you go on holiday, not that that'll be happening maybe for a while, but if you say go to Greece, do you come back and you're inspired by Grecian?
I can't wait to get in the kitchen, because when we go on holiday, I don't cook. I love eating out, and I'm really missing that at the moment. My husband and I normally once a week, we have date night, babysitter arrives, although we don't need that so much now, and we go out. So I'm really missing that. I love eating out. It's one of my favourite things to do. But on holiday, I get so excited when I come home. I can't wait. And we normally, if we've been to Greece or it's Greek month for the next month. Or if we went to Miami not that long ago, and that was it. I was trying everything because it's quite different, isn't it, to all the European food that I cook. And it's just quite fun to make your version of it. I love doing that.
Oh, amazing. And tell me, because you live in the country and you're outdoors and all the rest of it, do you barbecue at all?
Oh gosh, we barbecue all the time. Toby, my 17-year-old, is going to cook tonight, and we had a barbecue last night. We barbecue at this time of year. It's brilliant because I just feel like if you're going to cook 4 steaks, I may as well go on the barbecue. It's kind of less mess in my kitchen. And particularly in the summer, I turn my Arga off as it gets too hot in here, so then we do loads more out there. I love a good barbecue, and I've been working with a lovely brand recently, and they sent me, it was a pretty mega gift as part of a campaign. It doesn't matter, but it's pretty spectacular. So,
Really? What make of barbecue is it?
well, I've got two, if I'm honest, but they sent me, it's called Everdur by Heston Blumenthal, and it's I'm working for Kettler, and it's got this rotisserie grill, so you could fit a small pig on it, although that's going to really annoy people. But I did a chicken on it the other day, and it was really, really good. And it's charcoal, and it lights. I'm not trying to sell it, but it is quite spectacular.
No, I'm intrigued. We've been talking about
ignition. So you plug it in, and you put the charcoal on it, and then it starts to smoke, and then you turn it off, and you cook like you would. So you have no fire lighters. The only thing is you need to be near a plug.
Okay. You could light it though without the electrical thing if you wanted to, couldn't you?
Yes, yeah, you could. But it's quite a special bit of kit.
No, interesting, because you know the last 2 nights we've had barbecue guys on, so I just wanted to know that you do barbecue as well.
Oh, I do, yes, I do get involved in that quite a bit. I love it.
And do you ever do any teaching?
Sorry,
Sorry. Do you ever do any teaching or demonstrations?
I don't, because I wanted to focus strictly on the Instagram, but that I absolutely would in the future. I just didn't want to go around, because a lot of those things at the weekend, and the boys, I quite like to get most of my work done during the week, and then be their mummy at the weekend. So, and having worked nights as a dancer for so many years, those things are quite important to me. And I didn't want a job that was going to, I wanted a job that would fit in around my family. That's quite important. So this has worked for that. But that's not to say I wouldn't do things like that in the future. I absolutely would. But I'm finding this quite time consuming. So
I can imagine. Well, you're prolific at posting. And can I ask you, since you started 3 years ago, have you changed your phone? Because your camera is very good.
Yeah. I think I've had 2 phones, and I've got, the boys will tell me what I've got, iPhone X Max. It's got 3 little lenses on it, so you can get that zooming in effect and blurred out background. So, but they're brilliant. They really are. I mean, we have got a really nice camera, but I never use it because it's so much easier doing everything on your phone, because you can just upload it instantly.
It just goes straight there. Yeah. So you've got an 11 Pro or something.
Sorry?
You've got an iPhone 11 Pro or something.
No, mine's not that new. It's XS Max, I think.
Okay.
So it's about 4 generations back from the newest one. But it's the big one, so it's got the 3 lenses, which works well. But I try and do all my photography in natural light, because it's such a disappointment doing it under artificial light. It's yellow and it's not clear. So I try and go outside in the garden if it's not raining. Sometimes I photograph in the kitchen, or I've got a conservatory in winter, which I go in there and put some, what do you call them, backdrops down. But yeah.
But you've turned into, not only have you turned into a cookery writer, a chef, and a photographer.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah, my mum gets really excited about it. It's just wonderful photography. I just think, I'm just trying to make the food look appealing. They can't smell it, they can't taste it, so it has to look beautiful.
Yes, and leap out of the page at you, and so make people want to then scroll down and get the details and then cook it.
Hopefully, I hope so.
Well, I think you're definitely doing something right.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind.
Yeah, no, and I love also you've got a sticky onion and thyme tart, and I thought that looked delicious.
Yeah, well, I used to make years ago, and I must make it again, a total cheats tart tatin with ready shop bought puff pastry. It was so good. It was so easy, and I'd forgotten. I thought, okay, if I could do that with the apple halves, than the onions. But actually, what I've seen since is Jamie Oliver actually does one that looks exactly the same. So it looks like I've copied him now. But I didn't. I must have seen whole onions somewhere. Maybe I saw a picture of his, and
Yeah.
it's actually very, very easy, but really
Yeah.
sticky and delicious.
Oh, amazing. And tell me, of your pictures, can you remember one that you've put up and it's just gone to thousands of likes within, is there one that shines out?
Well, that Thai chicken tray bake every time does really well. And there was another one that I was quite surprised about. What was that? Sorry, I should have remembered this beforehand.
No, don't worry.
Something the other day, I can't remember. It might come back to me in a minute. But there's this Thai chicken tray bake, or a roast dinner, or my mum's roast dinner. Once I plated it up. I took my white plate round to hers about 3 years ago. And she does the best roast rib of beef and the best Yorkshire puddings and gorgeous, gorgeous gravy. And I just plated it up, went outside, clipped it, and I've used it quite a few times. I do mention that it's my mum's roast dinner. And that, before I had big followings, I think it reached 700 likes or something like that. But those were in the days where I would probably only reach maybe 150 or 200. So that was a bit of a, not a surprise. We all love a roast dinner.
A breakthrough. Yeah. And tell me, do you find that putting tags are important, or?
I think they are. I think the more hashtags you put, you need a few big ones that, with lots of millions of, I don't know what they call it, millions of people hashtag. But then you need a few things like recipe blogger. I think they're quite important. And I think the best way, if anyone's looking to what to use, is look at the accounts that you like and see what they're using.
Okay.
But also tagging, you don't want to tag everyone in. I don't want to tag Jamie Oliver in every single one of my posts because I'll be a pest. So you don't want to do that, although I'm sure people do. But tag, there are lots of people like the Food 52. There are lots of, and then there's a chance they may share your post. So it's worth doing it because if then they share your post and mention your name, then you'll gain a lot of followers from that.
Who's mentioned you that you've been quite blown away with and really excited and thrilled?
Oh, well, as far as those accounts go, the Food Network UK, they shared a couple of my posts recently, which was really nice. Mentioned, so there are a few, what's her name? Kimberly Walsh from Girls Aloud. She tries some of my recipes, which is quite exciting. I know it's silly, she's just a normal mum. And so but it's lovely to know that she's trying quite a few of my recipes, and she mentioned it once, so that was really nice. There've been a few other people, I think.
No, it is amazing how you can enter into people's living rooms or their kitchens.
I know. I find it fascinating because you just never really know who's watching. It's a very exciting tool, Instagram.
It's really
no money, and it doesn't cost me a thing. I just needed a phone and take some pictures of food, and it's just lovely. It gives everyone a chance, a platform to do something.
Yes, and to share their skills. And it's a good place, isn't it? It's not a negative place, it's only positive.
I'm sure that there are certain, like these girls in bikinis and things, I'm sure, that's probably brutal and quite awful, but because the nature of the world that we're in, it's just people want to learn, they want to see something, so they're positive. And we're also a certain age where, I don't know, that kind of bullying hopefully doesn't go on so much. I get a few rude remarks on my Facebook page. People think they can be really funny, and they'll say something. It's not really rude, but it's, oh, that looks like it's swimming in grease or something like that. And just, sometimes you want to write something really rude back, but you have to put the phone down, back away, and not say
limit
anything.
yourself.
Yes.
Keep smiling.
Away from the phone.
Oh, this has been absolutely fascinating because I do think you are possibly someone who's just risen so quickly, so fast, and with so many followers. I don't know statistics at all, but you are very on it, I would say. But I would say you're on it for all the right reasons and without a PR and without anything. It's just from your own hard work and good food.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's lovely, lovely to hear. It's really hard because you can't really compare yourself to anyone else because you just don't know. I mean, I see a lot of food bloggers out there that I think are lovely, or people that write for Joe Pratt the other day, and Rosie, and who else is lovely? Alexandra Dudley. They write for newspapers, and they're just useful, inspirational pages that are lovely. But you never really know what the insights are. But I do know that brands do say to me, because some brands ask to see insights before they hire you. Not many, but at the odd occasion. And I've had quite positive. They say, "Oh, that's really good. So your interaction is really good." But you don't know. It's just a number, isn't it? You just don't know what.
Wow. And without prying too far, these brands, are
Yeah.
you actually making an income now that could keep you afloat?
I couldn't live just from what I'm earning, but yes, it's a proper salary now. Although it was going so well in January, I had my record month. I booked. My husband had a very big birthday in April, and I booked a secret surprise trip to Venice, which obviously hasn't happened. This is the first time I had my own money again. It was really exciting. And then there was nothing. It just dried up. All the brands, just when Corona came in, didn't want to work with us at all. So, but now it's picking up again now. Which
Is it? Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I thought, gosh, it would be horrible, like so many people in this world right now. But I'm glad I'm not relying solely on my money right now. But
Yeah, no, but you are making some money that gives you freedom, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel quite hopeful in the direction that it's going in. And yes, it's quite good money for me at the moment. Yeah.
That's really nice to hear. And can you share your food related film, inspiration, book?
And I know what this is going to be, and it's The Lost Orchard by Raymond Blanc for, well, more than one reason, but mainly because I had the privilege of going to Le Manoir and cooking with him in his kitchen and as part of a campaign and an event. And he spoke so passionately about it, about these ancient, not brands, what do you say? Different varieties of apple trees.
Apples.
And yes, apples. And he was just so passionate about it. And then I bought it. Well, actually, everyone got it for Christmas that year, I think, as stocking fillers. I just thought it was just such a charming book. It's just lovely having, the story. And so I would say that would be my book.
Okay. That's your lovely book. He's a lovely man. He's utterly charming. And his attention to detail with food.
It was a pleasure to watch, and he had this whole team surrounded. It was a very intimate. Have you been in that kitchen in there? It's very small. It's lovely.
It's lovely.
And he went around to everyone. He said, "No, you're not doing." And we were doing some pastry, which of course soup's not my thing. So I thought, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm learning from this amazing, charming man." He said, "No, you've got to get." And he was right in there with me, with rolling the pastry out and how we put it on a hot stone in the oven. He said to his chef, that stone's not hot enough. They can't. I want them to taste it exactly how it should." So he didn't tell them off, but he just wanted us to have the very best pie we could eat. So he's so passionate and lovely.
Oh, no, he's a lovely man. Well, that's The Lost Orchard by Raymond Blanc. That's Mandy's recommendation. And any of you who are looking for something to cook for supper and you've got some chicken, go to Mandy's site. Or anything. They all look so perfect for at the moment when everyone's cooking 2 big meals a day for lots of hungry children and a family. So thank you very much, Mandy. It's an absolute pleasure, and it's great to meet you, and hopefully I'll meet you in person when this is all over.
So it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you so much for inviting me to do so.
Pleasure. It's been great. Thanks very much.
Okay,
Take care. Bye bye.